Hello and welcome to Battlefield 1, a game that has a lot to live up to, a huge amount of hype behind it, and judging by what we saw yesterday, or last night at least for me, I am super impressed. Yes, there are parts of it that I think, oh, is this just a reskin Battlefront? Is this just going to be one of those 6-month games that doesn't really appeal to the skilled players and is more of a casual game out there? But putting those few reservations aside, I am thinking that this game is going to be very successful and is going to provide something different to what we're used to with Battlefield, but keeping some of those fundamental concepts that we've enjoyed over the past few titles, and also bringing back some of the original destruction that so many veterans have really missed in the past couple of games. What this video is going to do is focus on some of the tanks. Now unfortunately I can't show gameplay from the stream. Not sure why, but copyright seems to be really tight on some of these things. So if you want to see that, I'm going to put a couple of links down in the description. I think that the actual stream can be rewatched on Twitch as well, so it's definitely worth going to check that out. Although saying that, they didn't really show too much first person footage. You have to go to actual YouTubers channels who got the exclusive rights to show that. So I'm just going to be showing screenshots. However, what I will do is give a really detailed look to what I saw, and being quite a big vehicle player on BF4, I can definitely give some really good information to the tanks in Battlefield 1 and what I think they're going to be like, and what I think, to be honest, some of the initial pros and cons of the tanks are going to be straight away. I will be using screenshots straight from the live stream, so you will be able to get that actual realistic gaming feelings. You will be able to see exactly what's going on. It will be taken straight from the thing, not fabricated in any way, so it is purely realistic. The two teams, obviously you've got the British on one side and then the Central Powers on the other, and we had 3 games, each lasted around 10 or 15 minutes I think. All teams were fighting in a conquest game mode. People didn't really know where to go, obviously it's a new map, so I think it was kind of a bit up in the air with teamwork and stuff like that. However, that can be expected. The Central Powers won it 2-1. The British pulling back the final game. It was quite good. Definitely saw some good gameplay in there. However, I would have liked to see maybe some people who've played the game for a little bit longer so we could actually see what the game is capable of. But remember, it is still in pre-alpha at this stage, so a lot of things will change before the game comes out. Having said that, it was incredibly stable. I think we saw one bug throughout the whole thing. There were a couple of little things where people were, riding on top of vehicles where obviously it looked a bit glitchy and stuff, but it's Battlefield. Come on, that stuff is obviously going to happen. The first bit of tank gameplay that I saw that really took my attention was this little bit. You'll see a picture on screen now. It was a British Mark 5 tank, Mark 4 tank, I think. I'm not too certain on what sort of tank it is. They all look fairly similar, but it's a heavy tank, so it's a big one. And you can see the actual size of it compared to a building. It is massive. Now, in real life, these things are incredibly slow. They took a long time to get up to speed. They'd carry quite a few people, and they'd trundle across the battlefield and kind of be... when you get them in position, you wouldn't be able to take them down without taking out a track with a grenade or something, so they'd mow down enemies like there's no tomorrow. However, on this game, they are fairly quick at accelerating. They still only can move at kind of walking running pace, maybe 5 to 10 miles an hour. However, they are quick to get off the mark, and they can turn quite quickly, and it seems like it's very similar to Battlefield 4 in the way the Amtrak moves. So that is quite a positive thing, because a lot of people were expecting these tanks to kind of be more of a novelty and get killed fairly easily. However, that is not the case. They are incredibly strong, and they will take a lot to take down. It will take an organised or even orchestrated enemy attack to take one of these things down. Now, a couple of these screenshots are obviously moving screenshots and they're difficult to see. This one isn't the best quality, but I wanted to capture the actual animation of you getting into a tank. It's not like BF4 and BF3. You don't just transport or teleport into the vehicle. You actually climb into it and get into it. It's an animation, and it is so much better, I think, than the insta jump in, jump out. And also that will change the repping game for tanks as well, with your repper not being able to jump in and jump out just as easily. Next up, we have a third-person bit of gameplay. As you can see with the little graphic bottom middle of the screen, 3 guns. Number 1 is the driver. He gets the main gun at the front, and then you've got 2 and 3. Obviously, the second seat isn't actually filled at this point. The third one is, and these guns destroy infantry. If we zoom in just now onto, this is the left-hand gunner a little bit later in the match. That is the sort of viewpoint you're going to get. quite restricted in terms of shooting things in front of you, but anything to the side you will mow down in no time at all. Again, we have a screenshot of 3 tanks attacking a flag. At this point you can see the windmill has taken a lot of damage, starting to fall down. We've got 2 heavy tanks there, and then I'm not really too sure what that thing is. It's a massive armoured car, and it seemed to be quite powerful, to be honest, and was flying around the battlefield. This one, again, we have I presume a British tank that's been captured by the Germans. That's the way they're going to do it. Again, this one's taking quite a lot of damage, and the damage models on the tanks are fantastic. As you can see, the back has started to take some damage. It started to it's set on fire. There are bullet holes all over it. This tank actually exploded a couple of seconds later. Here we have a picture of Rival X Factor in his tank. He's just been destroyed by the Central Powers that's been pushing him. I still would love to know the name of this vehicle. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it is a monster. It's just like a massive fridge freezer flying towards you with guns pointing out either side. But it looks insane, and it destroyed him. At that point, he was being pushed from all different angles, so it does seem like that the tanks are strong, but they can easily be destroyed, as you'd expect from following on from a game such as Battlefield 4. Here we have a smaller tank, not exactly sure on the model, but it is a fairly quick tank. Again, if you watch the stream, you'll see it gets down that road fairly quickly. It's got a nice big gun on the front. I think these ones will be a lot easier to take down, maybe 1 or 2 shot for an infantry. However, they are quick, they are agile, and they will easily mow through an enemy line. Not too much trouble at all, and they can also access other places. As you can see, they're fairly narrow as well, and those tracks will enable them to get up hills and smash through buildings. Here we have a 3-seater tank. Still not sure whether this is classed as a medium or a large tank. It is fairly big, and it does move quite fast, but again, you can only see 3 people able to get in it. This is, I think, this tank is going to be the main one in my opinion. It does look like it's going to be quite a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. It's going to be fairly fast, and you're going to have a lot of 1v1 battles with other tanks of a similar nature. Here was an interesting screenshot I picked up. Track disabled. Somebody thrown a grenade. As you can see on the right hand side, you have a few different options. He threw an anti-tank grenade. It's hit the track on the tank and actually disabled the track itself. I think you can then repair that from the tank, whether it's the gunner that does it or the actual driver, but nevertheless, it's quite interesting to see that the disability mechanic that we've seen in previous Battlefields is still here, but it's in the form of a track disable instead of an actual just disability rear shot or top shot or whatever it is on a tank. In terms of the actual damage model, I'm not exactly sure how strong these tanks are, but it seems that they can take a lot of damage before actually becoming disabled and becoming destroyed. And we've got 2 screenshots in the background. One, a grenade has just been thrown at that tank in the distance. It has about 25% health left, maybe a little less. Here you can see the same tank. A couple of seconds later, obviously someone's bailed, someone else has taken the driver's seat, and the guy has got landship damage 22, and the landship, obviously the tank, is still not down. So it seems to me as though the mechanics of how the tanks are damaged are virtually identical to BF4. 4 hits possibly from an RPG equivalent, so a grenade, something like that, and you're down. There are obviously going to be weak spots, namely the tracks. The tracks on these tanks are where you have to be careful, because obviously the track goes, I don't know whether you can repair it, but the tank can't move. If you take a front hit, obviously you can just back out of there. That's what people don't get with tanks. The objective is not to stay there and take the damage. You get out of there, you repair, you regroup, and then you get back in and you take the guys down. Seems to me it's going to be quite cool with a tank, especially if you're in a situation where you're being surrounded. You've got gunners either side, and also you can take a couple of hits before getting worried about having to get out of there. A couple more things I'd like to mention before the video ends. The class, when you spawn in a tank, is actually a tank class, so you are not going to spawn in a tank as a sniper. No more will you have a medic spawning in as a gunner. If you're in the tank, you're a tanker. If you bail the tank, you're still a tanker, and the guns that you receive are going to be a lot less influential than the assault class would have, or the recon class would have. So this is going to stop people taking planes as a sniper to an otherwise inaccessible part of the map. It's going to stop people taking a tank as a taxi. That is such a game changer from DICE. I mean, it doesn't seem like a massive thing, but if they put that in BF4 a couple of years ago, it removes all of the issues people have had with camping snipers. It just gets rid of everything, and it just makes the game so much more objective based. It's a really, really subtle change, but a really important one in my opinion. I hope you did enjoy this video. It was a fairly long one. I wanted to look at some of the screenshots and get some content out there for you guys regarding Battlefield 1. Hopefully you did enjoy it. I'm going to be having another look at the tanks in detail with a couple of tanking friends in the next couple of days. Keep your eye out for that. Hopefully we get our hands on some gameplay. If not, again, we'll be using screenshots, maybe a bit of BF4 gameplay as you saw in the background here, just to fill in the gaps. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like on it, and I'll catch you in the next episode.